It's all an inside job.
Yeah, it's they've got the plan down there. I mean, they've laid it out pretty good, but people don't want to accept it. You know, J. Edgar Hoover said, Nancy, one time, if the average man is completely frustrated, stymied when he comes face to face with a conspiracy so vast, they can't comprehend it could be real.
Well, it's getting to that point where, and I think next year, I guess we're all gonna feel like the world's coming to an end. But it is pretty, even as a writer, okay, and a researcher, it's pretty convoluted. It's gotten to the point where you have to find something else to move to look for knowledge and wisdom other than current events, because it's like a barrage. It's like an assault, you know, a weapon.
Well,
it's like a weapon.
It is. It's a war, and you know, they don't. I keep telling people they don't call television programming for nothing.
You know, it's interesting. My auntie. I keep going back to her because I apprenticed with her for 6 years, and her father used to call the television the shadow. And I mean, she was 104 when she passed away in 2006. And her father calls the TV the shadow, which I think is great. It really is. I mean, when you think about shadow government, there's shadow TV. Maybe I should change my YouTube channel to Shadow TV rather than Uncensored TV.
You know, even the Bible talks about the image of the beast, and that's kind of what's leading us, isn't it?
Oh yeah, definitely. Because I just found out yesterday or day before that all of the unions in New York City are requiring for the various transportation and security and all of that are requiring them all to get a biometric scan and code. So what they're doing is everything is moving into a digital world. I mean, if you want to stay with the third dimensional reality, then you've got to get into the biometrics and get your number. And that's the only way you'll be able to work. But you know, if you don't want to go that route, yeah, I have a farm. I live on a 4-acre fruit farm in the middle of the mountains, way up in the Taos, New Mexico, up near there. In the village.
Beautiful area. I was up there around Red River for a few months.
Oh yeah, for the bike, the Vietnam Memorial.
Yeah, I've been up there too. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, my brother took his card there, put his card up on the wall there, from his service. Hold on a sec. Yeah, it's a pretty beautiful area up here.
It is. It is.
But it's a tough one too, because it really requires talk about an inside job.
Now,
there's no external trappings here. I mean, other than the beauty of nature. I mean, you're forced to have to be with yourself for long periods of time. You know.
My friend Aaron Russo told, and I've got his film up on my website, told us that he talked with Nicholas Rockefeller and asked him what was the point behind all this, and he said they wanted to get everybody chipped. Now the Bible's told us about the mark of the beast. Don't take the mark of the beast, but without it you won't be able to buy or sell. You won't be able to buy or sell without the mark of the beast.
That's right.
2,000 years, we had no idea what that could be. They've got commercials for it right now on television, Nancy.
Yeah, they're requiring the union guys in New York City, anyone in the union, whether you're a woman or man, to get a biometric scan, a biometric card. I mean, you have to get a chip or something. They're requiring them to have that in order to work in the union. Now, because I was just looking at all the biometric tool equipment, like the iris scanner, and I was going to make a little movie about it. You got the fingerprint, you got the iris scanner. I mean, it's in your license. It's already here.
It is.
There's no privacy now.
And that chip, in Alamogordo, you've got the whole German crew there. The Luftwaffe is there in Alamogordo, and they pay for their purchases at Walmart by waving their hand over the scanner.
Oh my God, yeah, I know. I've got a funny story for you. Dennis Hopper lives here. That's how I originally ended up coming up here to visit him. I was living overseas, and my boyfriend knew him from the film industry in Europe and America. And, Dennis passed away. Matter of fact, he's buried just about a block from my house. And, I was visiting with his cousin. I have a little trading post out here, and we were talking, reminiscing about the old days and when Dennis was here, and Dennis was pretty crazy at that time. But they were out one night, the two of them, they were bar hopping or something. He had a notorious reputation up here for being just insane. A lot of weapons, machine guns, and always getting into rustles and doing a lot of coke. But this is a true story. So one night they were out, just the two of them, and they were they happened to go into one of these buildings in town and one of these halls, and I don't know who they were looking for, what they were looking for, but they opened the door, and in the room, his cousin told me, there were 30 guys sitting around a table up in Taos, all dressed in full Nazi regalia, full gear. And Dennis and his brother was like, they just about dropped their mouth. Man, because, they're hippies, right?
Yeah.
And,
okay, let me see what I hold something here. All right. Okay.
So you're right. They were all up in New Mexico, of course, because of Los Alamos. Victor Schauberger was in Taos, New Mexico, and he was forced to work for Adolf Hitler. He was the father of the implosion engine, and he was forced to work for him. And then he ended up coming over here secretly.
Operation Paperclip. They brought him over, including the Gestapo chief Heinrich Müller. I've got all of his books. He kind of implicates America behind this whole new world. The Bushes were Nazis.
Yes, I know.
Bush wasn't
Tom Watson, the Watsons, and you got the Kennedy. Joe Kennedy was Joe Kennedy too. Joe Kennedy was funding Hitler. So was Tom Watson. So was the Prescott Bush.
Yes.
And yes, Project Paperclip. They brought everything over here into our intelligence agencies and our science. We couldn't get our rockets to stay up. That was why Werner von Braun was so important, because he enabled us to get those rockets to stay up. The thing that we were involved in, much more so than anything, was the experiments with time, particleization and the Tesla mechanics, and also the time travel. That kind of thing. We were excelling in those kind of secret developments, but as far as getting the rockets to stay up, nope. Matter of fact, I interviewed a guy who was involved at NASA. He was involved in training the first two astronauts that went up on the lunar module. He was in charge of the photographic and data processing control for NASA for the first lunar trip, and I interviewed him a lot, and he ended up telling me at one time that on that Mars putt-putt, that Mars spacecraft?
Yes.
That putt-putt thing, they sent it up there and it roamed around. It was like a rover, like a roamer. There was a insignia on there. It was a triangle, and it was... Now, you can imagine that anybody who pays to put their logo or their insignia on a Mars putt-putt, the first one that ever went up there, that we know of, is going to be pretty expensive. But it was a triangular, like a pyramid, but you could open up the door. There was a latch. It was just a logo, and then you opened it up, and the Third Reich sign, the SS sign, was right inside.
Huh.
So I have on my site a film that came out of archives of Antarctica. A lot of the bases in Antarctica and some of the relocation. It's that relocation film I made about the Antarctica and the SS. Yeah, so they brought them over here.
Now, let me ask you about one of your other films. You've got a film on Leonard Peltier. Now, he's still in prison, isn't he?
Yeah, he's still in prison.
What was the situation with him? I mean, maybe he's lucky he's alive. The Gordon Calls out there, the Joe Kane's out there, Jerry Kane's. They've all been killed. Bill Cooper, my friend Bill Cooper, was killed by the police.
Oh, so you were friends with him?
Yes.
I met his wife. Yeah, she came to one of my lectures because I had the same editor on my book as he had on Behold the Pale Horse. When
Yes.
That editor has died, but she was in her 70s, and she was my editor on Life with the Cosmos Clearance. And
We were supposed to we had just discussed putting our newspapers together, my magazine, his newspaper, and working together because I was one of the few talk show hosts that he cared for. He didn't much like Alex Jones or people like that. But
No, I know. He didn't like him at all. He didn't like David Icke either.
no.
Of course, I always saw through David Icke. Daniel Salter always used to say he never finished the course.
I've had him on my show. He's he's a good entertainer. He's a good entertainer.
Exactly.
But they're asking if you've got a mailing address. I'm sure that's on your website, isn't it?
Oh, I'll give it to you off air.
Okay, all right. The thing that David Icke talks about reptilians. Of course, the ADL thinks he's talking about Jews when he talks about that. But
David Icke has done more disservice to good researchers with that issue in hand than anybody I know. So for that reason, I say that he's didn't finish the course and he works for the crime syndicate.
Yeah, they're saying he's backed off the reptilian thing a bit, but I'm not sure that's so far out. I mean, in the we've had reptiles on this planet for a million years.
Yeah, but they don't come dressed as Hillary Clinton with a tail wagging out of the black cape, and drinking blood.
No, they don't do that.
So, that did more disservice. You have to really look at the information and the disinformation and see what the disinformation does in terms of the public. And being a recipient of the public's awareness on the subject of UFOs, if I get one more reptilian call, I'm probably going to have to go buy a gun or something. Cause, I can't believe how many people are chasing after snakes. I mean, it's just absurd. Well, you think about the first symbol for the, Oath Keepers, don't tread on me.
Right.
Don't bring your reptile stories to my door. No thanks. I got enough problems with my neighbors. I mean, if human beings could get along with other human beings, we wouldn't have to worry about reptiles. I would rather meet a reptile than some of the crazy people they got going out there looking for, hunting human beings. I mean, America is got to be psychologically. Look at how violent America is. From its inception.
I was trained to be that violent.
Even Thanksgiving. And we're coming up on another phantom holiday, Christmas. But Thanksgiving, that was a Pequot massacre. It was nothing short ordered other than a massacre of 700 women and children, and they named it Thanksgiving. Okay, that's what we're living in. We're living in the lie. And in order to really, and I'm not going to say redemption because I'm not Christian, but in order to do the good work, you got to really you got to really be vigilant right now about every step you take, you know, because the greed has overwhelmed the human mind.
It has.
That is what the Hopi, you know, those Hopi elders that went on the Art Bell show, I don't know if you ever heard them, but they were unbelievable. They wouldn't give their name because the Hopi Tribal Council was threatening them because they're all Mormon now. But the actual elders who have almost, they're all gone now, they came on the Art Bell show without giving their names, and they talked about, they delivered some prophecy that had been fulfilled already. And I'll tell you, what they had to say was not, there was no feathers and light in that, you know. I mean, it was very serious. Extremely serious.
I think we are approaching a very serious time.
Extremely serious. No, you know, back in 2000, they said the changes, the prophecy being fulfilled was not reversible. It was too late. And they predicted World War III, and it started in 2000, and we're just about there.
They planned that to Albert Pike, who wrote Morals and Dogma, who was the Masonic head honcho, I guess. You know, started the KKK too. Albert Pike predicted a third world war with Muslims, and we're being programmed for that. I mean, it's always the Jewish-controlled media wants us. It's like they're trying to instigate Armageddon, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it's interesting if you think about that movie, The Covenant of Iron Mountain, what they say is going to happen, because everybody's looking at China and Russia right now, but it's actually going to happen, according to that film, according to those guys, Syria and Israel. And that's because they actually they really want Saudi Arabia. See, they're really going for all the natural resources. Look at the Gulf. I mean, that's going to be a biodiesel farm.
That was an attack on our food supply right here in America.
It's also going to be an algae farm. That whole area. When you look at Haiti, which was an enhanced, that's the port where they bring the drugs and the money in, and they funnel it out on underground. You know, they've got those maglev vacuum systems that go under the water, so they can send the cash and the drugs underwater. They don't even have to put it. I mean, forget the Mexico deal. I'm talking about big drug. You know what they're growing in Afghanistan.
By the way, Afghanistan's a perfect example. We invaded Afghanistan because those nasty old Taliban were destroying the opium poppy crops.
When we invaded Afghanistan, we bombed the pipeline in.
That's right. And they've just, now maybe this is just a coincidence. Maybe it's just a coincidence, you know. Wouldn't want to be labeled, you know, a conspiracy theorist or anything. But they just discovered that there's a couple of $1 trillion worth of minerals up in those mountains.
Oh, there's gold in Iraq, for sure, underground. That's what Saddam Hussein was, you know, was really guarding, because of course he thought he was the reincarnated Nebuchadnezzar, and he was the custodian for that underground. There's underground tunnels and caverns. I mean, if you go, there's an area here in New Mexico where you can walk underground, and I'm not talking about dumb deep underground military bases. I'm talking about ancient caverns and tunnels and places to hide. You can walk to Hopi from south of me, underground. There's an entrance where all the, you know, down south of me. I know where it is in the mountains. And one of the Pewaukee Pueblo officials showed it to me.
What is it again?
And you can walk in there, and you can go all the way to Hopi underground. I don't know if it's the, you know, so I mean, you've got the government underground tunneling system, but you've also got the other tunneling. All Indian people emerged from the ground, you know, emerged on this earth, having come from the stars, emerging from inside of the earth. And that emergence is taking place, going to take place again. I would say in the Four Corners area is really one of the most, I think that's the place where something big is going to occur.
Somebody on my chat room mentioned something about the Mayans disappearing or the Aztecs disappearing. And he said maybe they were taken off planet and they're coming back.
Well, they're disappearing. They've been stocking in the caves, food. That's basically what the Lakota elder told my friend who's on Rosebud. He's a full-blood Lakota, and he said that's where we're going, up in the caves in the hills, in the Black Hills.
I'll probably have the spokesman on for the Lakota elders, or Chief Emerson Elk, on my show this next week. Again, I believe there's something.
One thing people had said is, if you want to survive this, get near an Indian reservation, because indigenous people know how to survive. Like my auntie, okay, she was 104 years old. Up until the time she died, she lived. She was the only one living alone on the Pueblo at night, without electricity, without running water. And she said that she made a promise to her daddy that she would not go in the white way and hook up in the wires. So a lot of the prophecies talk about all these wires and the energy coming off the wires, because what they're doing is the electromagnetic frequencies that they can beam into communities from the cell phone towers. See, everything has a purpose in their strategy. Everything has a reason and everything has a purpose. And one of the things she told me was that her father told her never to plug wires in her house at all. And so she never had it. She didn't have running water. She didn't have electricity. She heated her house with wood. She got her water from the river. And she was the only one doing that left at night. And so I apprenticed her for 6 years. I served her because, hey,
So do you think the indigenous people, do you think the Indians, are they preparing for this now, or are they just turning their television sets on and vegetating like the rest of Americans?
Well, if you look at, I believe personally that scientifically, when you said about the crops, about them taking over the food supply.
Yes.
What was the first thing they did here when the colonial and the Puritans came? They burned all up and down New England every single crop, every single specimen of food that was indigenous to the area. And then that's where those little beaded bags came from, because the women were the ones that had would get the ration card for the family. See, they completely dethroned the man and gave it to the woman, and so the woman had the ration card and had the little bag and could go get the food. And so they were constantly, if they were delivering blankets that had smallpox in it, what do you think the food has in it? So if you look at how they altered the DNA of indigenous people, just like they've altered the DNA of Americans. Were we born to be couch potatoes? I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Look at how people lived just 300 years ago. So what happened to us, We got really soft, and yes, Indians have gotten soft too, but there are those that know and are prepared. They're as prepared as anybody can be. And I have been told that in that particular area of South Dakota, which is prime Saudi Arabia property, let's face it, why are they killing those people? Because they want the land. Okay. There's no other reason. And if you don't do a deal with the feds and sell your sacred mountain and go into business with the Obama administration, then you don't get no help. And if you fight that, there's plenty of people running Indian tribes who are not full-blood. They are a mix coming out of the relocation era. And unfortunately, they're working for the whites. They're working for the colonials,
Well, that's the way they do it. How many Americans are working for this whole New World Order, global government, one world government of the banksters, by the banksters, and for the banksters? They've been taken in.
I know. Well, the only jobs they're creating are government jobs. So. Yep,
that's right. All of the factories, all the manufacturing was sent overseas, so we'll build their economy for a while they tear us down. This was the last. Our founding fathers fought the New World Order of their day, and we're faced with that right now. We're faced with that right now, and people are afraid. They demonize people like me. You know, I mean, they've been doing that for 20 years, and it's still occurring. I mean, they just listed me in the NAACP as a bigot.
Bigot, huh?
And anti-Semitic. Oh, he's anti-Semitic too. I got calls from Dallas. Somebody said, I just saw an article about you, Clay, in the Kansas City Star. They say you're an anti-Semite and a bigot. Are you an anti-Semite?
Oh, yeah, well, you know, they pay people to go into the internet. I mean, they did it to me. Once I built Leonard Peltier's YouTube site, and I posted some of those film footage from these archives on YouTube, I got attacked as a New Age frog, you know, and it's really interesting.
Oh, I suggested that the go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I found out that the guy who was doing it, the group that was doing it, was out of Europe and being funded through the Fulbright Institute. And then the Fulbright Institute, William Fulbright, well, hey, he was a KKK, right?
Yeah.
And this guy who was attacking me was a Fulbright scholar, apparently. He said he was. But I think he lied, but, you know, it makes you wonder. All of these private foundations are getting paid to do this.
That's right.
To go after people and create. The internet is the place to create. Racism is the biggest problem we got on this planet, as far as I'm concerned.
I've told the Aryan Nations. I got invited to speak at the Aryan Nations. I said, well, I'll tell you what. I'll come speak, but you won't like what I got to say. Because every time you refer to blacks as mud people, Jews as kikes, Chinese as chinks, Mexicans as spicks, you are shooting yourself in the foot, and you make me look bad because I happen to be white too. And you better hope there ain't a race war, because you're the first one I'll look up. You're to be the first one I shoot. You know, we don't need that kind of hate, and that's what the Mossad does too. It's called divide and conquer. Find something that they don't like.
I just got an email about the show.
Yes.
It says, hello, I'm a long researcher and was friends with Bill Cooper and a friend of Clay. Thank you for your broadcast on Clay's show. I always acknowledge the Holocaust of Native Americans, and you're absolutely correct that America will never heal until they recognize this Holocaust. This is why America is sick on so many levels. We never went to the moon or Mars. It's just another white man lies. Just thought I'd let you know. You know what's interesting about that is, see, there's a base on the backside of the moon.
Yes.
But it's not ours.
No.
It is not. It does not belong to us. And we were told not to go back there. We did go to the moon. We did. I believe we went to the moon. It was part of a Freemasonic ritual. And, you know, we were told not to go back.
The whole deal is, the whole reason the UFOs are so closed and so guarded, because they don't want you to know that you can travel to the stars, to the moon, as easy as you can go around the block.
Well,
and otherwise you wouldn't be.
Nazi Germany built a base already. They went to the moon.
Yes.
That's why we went after them. We didn't go after them because of Jews, obviously, because Hitler was funded from over here. We went after them for the technology.
That's right.
I mean, you know, the people who are running this country, you think they cared about the Jews that were being killed? I don't think so, because
no. They sacrifice
Watson,
they'll sacrifice the Jews as quickly as they sacrifice the American Indians.
Exactly.
All right, Nancy.
You know what's
We're almost out of time, darling. I'd like to have you back on though, because it's really refreshing to talk to you, not to mention you being, you know, drop dead gorgeous. Okay.
Okay. All right. I'll talk to you later.
All right, dear. Thank you very much. Okay. Wonderful having you on my show.
Okay.
All right, folks. That's it. Make a donation. Pass it around. Tell people about it. You got some wonderful wisdom here from this lady, man, and she's really doing good work. Her names and sites will stay up on my show for a while. Thanks, and God bless.